In international conflict, the first shots are often fired from podiums, not cannons. Today, March 3, 2026, the world watches the Middle East teeter on the edge after a joint U.S.-Israeli offensive against Iran. The speeches of President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu are as critical as the missiles themselves, tools to shape the narrative and dictate the conflict's trajectory. Their rhetoric frames complex geopolitics as a battle of good versus evil, rallying domestic support and signaling resolve to allies and adversaries alike. We'll dissect the context, analyze their core messages, and explore how their words legitimize military action and set the stage for what comes next. The future of the Middle East is being forged not just on the battlefield, but in the words spoken in Washington and Jerusalem. The world holds its breath as these speeches echo across the globe. War rarely erupts overnight. It's a slow build of provocations and failed diplomacy. The roots of this U.S.-Israeli conflict with Iran stretch back to the devastating 2023 Israel-Hamas war, which drew in regional actors and deepened divisions. U.S. support for Israel solidified alliances, but widened the rift with Iran and its proxies. In 2025, Israel's blockade of Gaza and subsequent invasion escalated tensions, setting the stage for direct confrontation. Operation Midnight Hammer, a U.S. air raid on Iran's nuclear sites, was hailed as a success but only delayed Iran's ambitions. Iranian-backed militias retaliated with drone and missile attacks, crossing red lines and providing Trump and Netanyahu with the justification for a massive military response. The war erupted in a wave of strikes on Iran, thrusting the region into open conflict and setting the backdrop for the leader's pivotal speeches. From the Oval Office, President Trump addressed the nation with grave resolve. He cast the strikes as self-defense against an existential threat, framing Iran as a rogue regime bent on nuclear armament and terror. "We did not start this fight, but we will finish it," Trump declared, invoking recent attacks on U.S. troops and Israeli civilians as justification. His speech rallied a divided nation, promising a decisive but not overnight victory, estimating a 4 to 6 week campaign with ground troops as a last resort. Trump's rhetoric left little room for nuance, painting the conflict as a battle between freedom and tyranny. Yet he left a narrow diplomatic window, stating the conflict was with the regime, not the Iranian people, and offering peace to any future leadership willing to renounce terror. This dual message, overwhelming force paired with conditional diplomacy, aimed to reassure allies and warn adversaries. Trump's words set the tone. War was not inevitable, but surrender was the only alternative for Iran's rulers. Hours later, Netanyahu addressed Israel, echoing Trump's themes but tailoring them for a nation on the front lines. He framed the war as a defense of Israel and the civilized world, declaring, "Tonight, we fight for our home and for the future of a world that refuses to bow to terror." Netanyahu expressed deep gratitude to the U.S., underscoring the strength of their alliance and projecting unity. He promised a short, decisive campaign to dismantle Iran's offensive capabilities and restore Israeli security. Addressing Iranians directly, he insisted Israel's fight was with the regime, not the people, urging them to envision a future free from oppression. This psychological tactic mirrored Trump's, aiming to weaken the regime's grip while offering hope to its citizens. Netanyahu's speech blended defiance, gratitude, and a calculated appeal for change within Iran. Trump and Netanyahu's speeches reveal a unified narrative. Iran is cast as an existential threat to global order. Both leaders use charged language, branding Iran as the world's top sponsor of terror and justifying their strikes as a moral crusade. Their war aims are clear: prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons and dismantle its capacity for regional aggression. Each promises a short, decisive conflict, projecting confidence and control to maintain public support. Their rhetoric combines the threat of overwhelming force with overtures to the Iranian people, offering peace if the regime changes course. This dual approach allows them to appear both hawkish and open to diplomacy, placing responsibility for peace on Iran. The result: a powerful, synchronized message designed to justify war and shape international perception. Despite their show of unity, Trump and Netanyahu's speeches sparked global criticism and anxiety. Many world leaders questioned the legality of the strikes, warning they risk dismantling international norms. Humanitarian groups predicted catastrophe, a refugee crisis, disrupted supply chains, and immense civilian suffering. Analysts feared a wider regional war, with Iran's proxies, Hezbollah, Iraqi militias, Houthis, poised to retaliate. The promise of a short war was met with skepticism. Observers warned that foreign attacks could unite Iranians behind their regime. Instead of a swift victory, the strikes risked igniting a protracted insurgency or a drawn-out, destabilizing conflict. The world braced for consequences that could far exceed the leaders' promises. As the dust settles, three futures emerge for the Middle East. The first is the leaders' hope, a short, decisive war forcing Iran to the table and leading to a new security order. The second is a nightmare. Iran unleashes its proxies, sparking a regional war that devastates economies and lives. The third is a grinding quagmire. Airstrikes fail to topple the regime, which digs in for a war of attrition, draining U.S. and Israeli resources. The outcome will depend on military results, diplomacy, and internal politics. Trump and Netanyahu's rhetoric has set the terms, but events may spiral beyond their control. Their words offer a stark choice between swift victory and endless threat. Yet, reality may prove far more complex than their narratives suggest. Trump and Netanyahu's speeches are more than commentary. They're acts of creation, shaping how the world understands and justifies this war. Their rhetoric frames the conflict as necessary and moral, rallying support and projecting control. By promising a short war and offering hope to Iranians, they craft a narrative designed to withstand criticism and uncertainty. But these words carry risk. If the war drags on or escalates, their promises may become liabilities. The future of the region is being shaped as much by speeches as by bombs. History will judge not only the outcome, but the words that set this conflict in motion. In the end, rhetoric may prove as consequential as any battlefield victory.